Okay, friends, family. Hi, Kevin here with Establishing Zion. I just wanted to go through a scripture. Most of the scriptures that I've done up to this point, the last couple of weeks, I've been, reviewing scriptures I've had memorized in the past, make it easier to get kind of build momentum and, get into the habit again. If you do it 21 days in a row, they say that you can solidify a habit. Oh, we're on day 13. We're halfway there. But I heard scripture that the prophet said over the conference, and I wanted to put that on my list to memorize it. And it's not something the reference is not a common one that I would have remembered. So I needed to go through the process of kind of putting it into my brain here a little bit. The reference is Doctrine and Covenants 87 verse 8, and so I wanted to make sure that I showed you, give you an example, give you an example of what exactly the process is for me to memorize a scripture. And so basically, I'm going to look at the reference and I'm going to try to memorize that reference first. I want to be familiar with the reference. So what I do here is I want to show you a memory list. Being able to memorize the reference is also as important as memorizing the actual scripture, because then if I have the reference memorized and have an understanding of what it is, then I can easily recall it. Or if I forget the words, I can still remember the reference. I've got lots of scripture references memorized, which is great. But again, from my original presentation, having the whole scripture memorized this is already 2 weeks in. This is a good idea. I'm so glad that I'm doing this. And so for my own self, and I hope that anybody who's watching this down the road has the desire to do this, because it's already 2 weeks in. It's changing my insides, for lack of a better phrase. So Doctrine and Covenants 87 verse 8. So how do we memorize references? Well, for each of these books of the scriptures, John, Isaiah, Matt, the Doctrine and Covenants, I have an image or a reference or a person. Like for Matt, I think of my friend Matt Haggart, a friend of mine from days past, from high school and college, and just one of the best Matts I've ever known, if not the best. But and so when I think of Doctrine and Covenants, it's something obscure that just keeps. I think of a drums and a cowbell, D&C, drums and a cowbell. So let me show you. I've got a picture for it. Let's see if I can find it on this device here. Oh dear, where did I put all these things? But I like to use these images to help me. Imprint it in my brain here. And so here's drums and a cowbell. So this image helps me think of the Doctrine and Covenants, because drums and a cowbell, D&C. The number 87, this is something that if you take my advice seriously and actually want to learn how to memorize numbers and things, I actually put them in here, and you can see that each number, you can associate a number with a sound, and here's the phonetic sounds. And I can actually, I should spend a whole presentation doing this, but I don't have time today. Maybe I'll do that the next time, on how they came up with that. And I don't know if it was Ron White that came up with it, but he helped put all these images associated with a name. So I tested this out a few years ago, and I memorized my credit card number by just combining two numbers at a time, and then using the images to put them together, right? And so 87 is fog. So if I'm thinking of drums and a cowbell, and then I come over to my whiteboard here, and then I think we could find some images on the stock images here of fog. Let's see if we can. So fog, aha, we can. So that one's a pretty good one of fog. Downloading a picture of fog. So I can imagine my drums in a cowbell in fog, and that's 87. So the number 87 is fog. Now I don't always remember that what the number is associated with the picture. But because I have these memorized, it makes it a lot easier. You know, that's only 10 to have memorized. The 8 is a V or a F sound, and the 7, 87, is a K or a hard G sound. And so fog, and then all the vowels, they don't have a number associated, so you can use whatever vowel you want. So that's how you get fog from the number 87. And then the verse is 8. So ivy. So fog and ivy. So let's see if I actually couldn't find any ivy in the stock images. So basically I can use these images here to imagine someone standing in a holy place in the fog with ivy wrapped around them. And then the reference that I'm memorizing today is standing in holy places, right? And so now I can just imagine, maybe I can add a person standing because they have, oops, not that one. If I do this stock images and I do cutout people, we can do someone standing like this guy. Let's do this guy. So the way that your brain works is if you're gonna, did both of them. I shouldn't have done that. I added both of them here. Let's use, oh, where'd he go? Well, the one that we wanted left. So we could put maybe a guy, right? We want someone actually standing. How about this guy? So our brains work by images. I mean, we can, guy kind of looks like Kirby Hayborn a little bit, not really, but basically I can see this guy standing next to or sitting at the drums. Well, we want him standing with ivy wrapped around his legs in the fog. So if I keep that image in my brain, I automatically know that the drums and the cowbell means Doctrine and Covenants. Fog is, the F is 8 and the G is 7, so 87 with ivy, and I know the first 20 pretty well, so 8 is ivy. So the verse is 8, and then I see a guy standing there, and that makes me think of stand in holy places. And then from there I can say, okay, well that's the actual reference memorized. And as you go about doing that, it won't take as long as it is for me explaining it, right? I'm taking a while to explain it, but once you get in the habit of this process doesn't take more than a couple of minutes, especially once you have, Doctrine and Covenants. I have my drums and cowbell, it's just automatic. And then once I know my numbers and I have a reference here that I can just pick out my numbers, I mean, it takes me 15 seconds. So the time may seem, oh, this is going to take a lot of time. You may be discouraged by that, but don't be. And then once you've put these images in your brain, they're much harder to forget. They're much easier to memorize. And then you can say, okay, well, this is stand in holy places. So and then I go through that process of writing out. I can either write it out or I can type it out. Wherefore stand ye in holy places, right? And then I can write out the whole thing like 10 times, right? And what else does it say? And be not moved until the day of the Lord come, for he cometh quickly, saith the Lord. Right? And then you can write it out again and again and again. And I have my little notebook that I said, and I wrote it out 4 times, and then I tried to recite it, and then if I didn't get it right, I wrote it out again. So wherefore standing in holy places and be not moved, and I'm trying to close my eyes here and not cheat, until the day of the Lord come, for he cometh quickly. Behold, it cometh quickly, not for he cometh quickly. Now that I'm thinking about it, let's see, go back here. So it's not for he cometh, is it and it cometh quickly? For behold, it cometh quickly. For behold, it cometh quickly. All right, so this is the next step. If you need more help with these words, I come over here and I copy, and then I come to my Mind Palace over here. The fortress. Here's one of the rooms, right? And that I use in my last example. So I can just put it right here, and I can see it. I want to do that. There we go, because it's centered. Wherefore stand ye in holy places and be not moved until the day of the Lord come, for behold, it cometh quickly, saith the Lord. So I know my reference, and maybe I can think about that reference. I can think about the drums and the cowbell with fog coming through the door and an ivy around the door frame, and then a guy standing at the door. So now, okay, now I have an image of in my mind palace of that room. And the beginning is wherefore stand ye in holy places. And then the couch is really easy. I can just think of myself sitting and being not moved on the couch. And then the books, I could maybe think of a book, The Second Coming of the Lord by Gerald Lund. So be not moved until the day of the Lord come. And then I could think of going to the window really quick, for behold, it cometh quickly. And then I could think of saith the Lord as the last part of the reference. Saith the Lord pops up on the TV. Do you see how that process works? Now, again, it might take a little bit of practice to do this, but it's possible. And the benefits are incredible. And if you are consistent in these efforts, you will be blessed. And one of the things that I should have included last time was a quote by Orson F. Whitney about the different gifts of the Spirit. And he talked about one of the gifts of the Spirit is the gift of memorization. And that's something that you can pray for and ask for. And so I just got a text from my wife. I need to go get the baby. So I need to wrap this up. So I just want to bear testimony that this process is doable. And I'm just a normal guy, and I've done this so many times, and I've messed up so many times, but it's now is the time, like Elder Nielsen in Priesthood Session this last conference said, now is our time to make these things happen. And the more time we're spending memorizing the scriptures, the less time we're watching TV, the less time we're playing video games, the less time we're pining away on Facebook watching everybody else have perfect lives that they're sharing, or the only perfect parts of their lives, right? I could go on about that. But anyway, those are just the thoughts that I have about Doctrine and Covenants 87, 87, verse 8, stand ye in holy places. Wherefore stand ye in holy places, and be not moved until the day of the Lord come. For behold, it cometh quickly, saith the Lord. Okay, hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care now.